Joining me now, Jim Messina, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff to President Obama, David Jolly, former Republican congressman from Florida. The Republican Party deeply divided. You saw the effect of those divisions with the different ways that Kevin McCarthy reacted immediately afterwards and then when he went to Mar-a-Lago, as well as, of course, Mitch McConnell's voting to acquit and then giving that denunciation, there's no other way to call it, of the former president and of all of his behaviors before, during, and after the actual riot. Jim, let's talk about the effects also in local parties. The state party in North Carolina unanimously censured Richard Burr, who is retiring, as you know, as the senator, for his vote to convict. And he has responded to that by saying, "It is truly a sad day for North Carolina Republicans. My party's leadership has chosen loyalty to one man over the core principles of the Republican Party and the founders of our great nation." You're also seeing Senators Toomey of Pennsylvania, Susan Collins of Maine, facing possible censure votes from Republicans in their states, and also, of course, what happened in Louisiana immediately afterwards, within 2 hours of their votes. Bill Cassidy, the senator from there, was censored. So how do you see this playing out around the country against the 7 Republicans? Only one is up this year, and that's Lisa Murkowski, the 7 who voted to convict.
Yeah, Andrea, it's a crazy time inside the Republican Party. I mean, you had one leader of the Pennsylvania Republican Party saying that they didn't send Toomey there to vote his conscience or, quote, do the right thing. They sent him there to represent the party, which is exactly wrong. As you know, United States senators put their hand on a Bible and take an oath to uphold the Constitution, which is what these folks thought they were doing when they cast these votes. You know, what we are seeing are the opening salvos in the 2024 presidential election, with everyone trying to position themselves and the party and try to garner support of President Trump and his supporters. Is a sad moment. You know, after January 6th, you thought that both parties could kind of come together and agree to put this moment behind us. And instead, you have Ron Johnson, senator from Wisconsin, who is up for re-election, questioning whether it was even an armed insurrection, saying he didn't think it was. Well, that would be a big surprise to the 5 people who died. And all the members who were, evacuated and trapped in hallways and closets. And so, you continue to see these folks saying absolutely crazy things in a silly attempt to appeal to a base of the Republican Party that isn't as big as they think it is.
Well, let me play some of that Ron Johnson radio interview because it's pretty extraordinary. This, of course, the Wisconsin Republican senator who was the chairman of the Homeland Security and still ranking on that committee. This is what he had to say.
The fact of the matter is, this didn't seem as like an armed insurrection to me. If that was a planned armed insurrection, man, you're really a bunch of idiots. The one guy in the Senate chambers there, he had plastic wrist ties. What was he expected to do? Literally go up to Mike Pence and capture him?
David Jolly, what do you say to someone like Ron Johnson?
Yeah, the answer to Senator Johnson's question is yes, that's exactly what that man thought he might be able to do, which is why he is now facing federal charges. Senator Johnson's comments, Andrea, are very indicative of the identity crisis within the Republican Party right now. And it's just that. It's an identity crisis. It's not an electoral crisis. So from the outside looking in, we're saying, how can Republicans behave this way? Republicans aren't really engaging in self-reflection because they don't see this hurting them that badly at the ballot box. But it is remarkable to see one of the 2 major parties today having debates not around ideological issues, not around the left-right spectrum we've seen in the past within the Republican Party, but around these fundamental questions of defense of democracy and recognition of facts. And somehow the litmus test for new Republican leaders is whether or not they put party before country and whether they are willing to subscribe to these alternative facts. Culturally, I wonder what that means, right? Our major political parties have an influence on the cultural narrative. And to see one succeed on this counter narrative on all things regarding the Constitution and democracy, I think is a broader national conversation for us in the years forward.
Now, as a former congressman, I have to just ask you about Adam Kinzinger, the Republican congressman from Illinois, whose family disowned him writing to him, according to the New York Times, 2 days after Mr. Kinzinger called for removing Mr. Trump from office. He obviously did not have a vote on impeachment in terms of the Senate trial. Following the January 6th riot at the Capitol, 11 members of his family sent him a handwritten 2-page letter saying he was in cahoots with the devil's army for making a public break with the president. "Oh my, what a disappointment you are to us and to God," they wrote. "You have embarrassed the Kinzinger family name." I mean, this is a man who is, not only an elected member of Congress, he's a military veteran. David, to you and to Jim, what do you say to something like this?
Yeah, look, I know Adam Kinzinger deserves our support, the support of Democrats today as well, for saying the right thing. He will resolve these family issues, but knowing Adam, and I think even in that New York Times interview, he says he's not too worried about it. But it is indicative of a comment that Jim referred to earlier, Andrea, this theme, this narrative that Republicans are supposed to support a Republican president regardless of the behavior of that president. It's what we saw over 40 senators do in the impeachment acquittal vote on Saturday, and it's what we're seeing in the case of one member's family as well as in state committees. It is a narrative the Republicans now own. It in many ways, so, is exactly what George Washington warned us about the emergence of parties and factions that begin to put that loyalty above loyalty to country.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.